Hey, I'm Neil Rice, a business attorney who's helped hundreds of new business owners avoid costly mistakes and launch with confidence. In this video, let's talk about avoiding the certificate of good standing scam. So, when you start a new LLC, you are invariably going to start receiving mail to your registered address that's going to try to sell you things. And one of the most common things that you'll get is these very official looking letters, almost as if they've come from some type of government agency or organization. And when you open that letter up, it's going to tell you that you need to pay $89.99 or $94.99 or $104 or whatever the price is that they've made up for that person or that agency or that company to provide you with an official certificate of good standing for your LLC. Well, let's talk about what a certificate of good standing is and when, if ever, you actually need one. So, a certificate of good standing is simply a document from the state in which you've started your LLC that acknowledges your LLC is in good standing. What does that mean? It basically means when it comes to taxes or regulatory violations, as far as the state's concerned, your LLC doesn't owe any back taxes. It hasn't violated any state regulations or licensing issues, that it's basically been out there doing business and not causing any problems. Now, when you first start your LLC, you don't need a certificate of good standing. Nobody's going to ask you for a certificate of good standing. And there's a chance that you'll go the whole way through your business life with that LLC and never need a certificate of good standing. And so I just want to make sure you know that when you get that letter, you don't have to write the check or swipe your card for your hard-earned money to get something someone's trying to sell you that you don't actually need. Well, sometimes you might actually need a certificate of good standing. So let's look at what that might entail. When do you need a certificate of good standing? Well, a lot of times if you're selling your business, the buyer of your business is going to want you to provide that certificate of good standing so that they can be sure they're buying a business that isn't in the midst of some kind of issue with the state, taxes, regulations, licensing, and so forth. Okay, so that's one time. But of course, when you're just starting your LLC, you don't need a certificate of good standing for that. You're going to have a long career in your business, making plenty of money, making a great difference in the world. You're not thinking about selling. You don't need the certificate. Second thing would be applying for a loan. Well, sometimes you need a certificate of good standing when you're applying for a loan. But if you're applying for a loan in the course of starting your business, most lenders and banks are not going to require you to go get a certificate of good standing because you're going to have your certificate of organization. That's the document the state provided you when you started your LLC. And if you show that to the bank and they see you just started this LLC a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, they're not going to ask that you go buy a certificate of good standing. They understand this is a brand new business. You don't even owe any taxes yet. And so you couldn't be in arrears to the state in taxes. The second thing would be, I guess this would be the third thing, a bank or agency just specifically requests it. Sometimes banks will ask you, depending on what you're doing or opening a new account, usually this would occur as if some time has gone by after you started your LLC, years have gone by, and you go to a bank and you want to open up a new account or certainly a new loan. In that case, they might ask you for a certificate of good standing. Here's the good news. If you need one, it's cheap and it's easy to get, even though you'll get these letters after you start your LLC and they'll say, give me $80, give me $100 so I can give you your certificate of good standing. If you get it through the actual state in which you have started your LLC, typically it's like $10, maybe $15. You can get it online in a matter of minutes in most states. So, you like what you're hearing? If so, I want you to know about my course, Startup University. It's going to help you get confident, get clear, get moving with your business. Head on over to startboldnow.com for your free 15-minute personal consult with me. Let's go.